Alright, let's pick it up here. This is the Sun Arcana. This is the highest level of the Sun Arcana Asura. This description is usually, I think, Mahavarakana is associated, I think, with Buddhism as the one who shines on all. Basically, that description is correct. But Asura is kind of vague because in Sanskrit it's often the name of a demon, and that's pretty much the reason why it's called the name given for the powerful Atma in Digital Devil Saga. But Asuras could probably be more associated with Titans, because they were once ancient Indian gods, but before the Aryans invaded. Afterwards, they actually been demoted to the title of demons, and this is they often lump them with other ancient demonic titans. I think some of them being the Rakshasas as well. Alright, Vishnu, I think the description is pretty accurate. He has about 10 incarnations. Many of the famous ones are Rama, which is in the Ramayana, which is the form of the mortal. Vamana, which is the incarnation as a dwarf. Narasimha, which is in Persona 3 as a lion-headed man. Varaha, which is a boar. And Kurma as a tortoise. In his incarnations, he's often accompanied by an incarnation of Lakshmi, his wife. And he's often described as also in between his incarnations. He often rests on top of Ananta, the world serpent, or the many-headed serpent that supports the world on its heads. Okay, Suparna. All I found about it is that it's another name for Garuda, which comes to no surprise to me because Garuda has, I think, a few incarnations, but this seems to be pretty similar to the descriptions of Garuda that I've been seeing. But I think this also stems a little bit to a degree with the Southeast Asian and Chinese description of Garuda-like being. Garuda, I think, has been adopted in Chinese myth as the pig now. But when I read parts of an abridgment to Journey of the West, one of the Monkey King's vassals is, I think, called Garuda. Alright, there isn't much I could really say about it, but I assume Suparna is associated with Garuda and or his incarnations. Horus is usually described as an Egyptian sun god, but the falcon is also symbolized with Ra, which is yet another sun god. I think that Horus is supposed to, in effect, represent the rule of Egypt, or basically the divine rule of the pharaohs, because in his description he battled the god Set, which is the god of darkness, and since he's associated with the sun, he won the kingdom of Egypt, which is basically the kingdom of the pharaohs, while Set rules everywhere else, which shows that he is pretty much banished and rules all the other lands besides Egypt. So I think this is probably a myth sparked by the divine rule of the pharaohs. Okay, next one, Jatayu. He is called the king of the vultures, hence why he looks this way, and also because of his tail. He is an incarnation of Garuda. And the description is pretty much accurate. In the Ramayana, he actually saw Ravana abduct Rama's wife Sita, so he tried to stop them, but Ravana, either it was said that he cut off his wings, or actually plucked all the feathers of his wings and left him dead. But before he finally died, he actually told Rama where Ravana went. Also, I think in the Ramayana he had a brother, Simpati, which is king of the eagles. And because of Jatayu's death, I think as an act of vengeance, what he decided to do is actually be one of the assistants of Rama to actually kill Ravana. Alright, next one, Quetzalcoatl. This description is pretty accurate, but it isn't just an Aztec deity. It is also a deity associated with many other locations in the Mexican Central American area. Specifically, like the Mayans and the Toltecs had Quetzalcoatl. But I think that it also spread to South America, possibly, but also to southwestern United States as well. The description about the previously created world is the fact that the gods, or many of the major gods, actually jockeyed amongst each other to rule the world. And in certain times they actually do destroy the world and each other's creations to take over. So I think that, I don't know if this is correct, but he is probably the current ruler of the world, but I'm not sure. Alright, last one, I think, is Yata-Garasu. This is the lowest level of the Sun Arcana. The description is pretty accurate. Yata-Garasu is the symbol of Amaterasu, hence why it has the Magatama around his neck, and is also associated with a three-legged raven. But I think it can also stem from Chinese as well, because what is called the crows of the sun, or the souls of the sun, or the Yangwu, are described as three-legged crows, and there used to have been 10 of them until the celestial archer, when the gods actually shot them down and left only one remaining. So I think this is probably why I carried over. The assistance with Jimmu, I think, is probably because Yata-Garasu, or Amaterasu, is the ancestor of the imperial lineage until recently. And also I'll just wrap this up here.